Hello and welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for younger gamers by gamers. I'm Barto.
And I'm Hex.
And I am Darren, ready to fertilise your young minds with a seasoning of plant-related facts.
Darren, you're not a gardening robot, at least not anymore, not after all that unpleasantness.
Oh, affirmative. But we're reviewing the plant-inspired puzzles of Botanicula.
Alright, well, just as long as you don't go overboard with long, boring rants about photosynthesis or whatever.
Oh, negative. I had one lined up about the Brachypodium distachium.
That sounds gross, Darren. Also on the show, we're going to have a look at the top-down racing mayhem of Wrecked.
And something new for the 3DS, Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure.
All right, well, let's get cracking into Botanicula and get old Darren Green Thumbs here back to normal.
Botanicula is the latest point-and-clicker from the people that brought us the excellent Machinarium, and it's without a doubt one of the most adorable games we've ever played. Observe.
Is pretty straightforward in a weird and wonderful kind of way. You lead these 5 little animal plant-like thingies throughout their tree to save it from a bunch of creepy life-sucking spider thingies.
No, they claim this is actually a point-and-click explorer rather than adventure, and you can see why. The focus is on simply exploring the levels and on clicking on everything you can, rather than solving lots of processor-intensive puzzles.
Yeah, they're mostly little fetch quests where you need to go and find a particular object and bring it to the right place. There are a few little mini-games here too, like a volleyball match, a ladybug race, and a maze, which were great. But there was one puzzle where you had to blow on a bunch of horns to create different animals, and I don't know, there must have been some logic to it, but it was such an illogical logic that I ended up just guessing until I got it right.
Yeah, that one got me too, and it's easy to miss something because you often have to click things more than once to get the object to activate before you can move on, and there are a few times where I was just going around in circles because I wasn't sure what I'd missed.
Yeah, it's an easy game though, and it's impossible to get frustrated because you'll be smiling the whole way through. Almost everything you click on manages to surprise and delight in some way. As you can see, it just looks amazing, and the music is so uplifting and joyful, and the way it builds as you interact with the world is just great. Playing this is like having sunshine and happiness just poured into your eyeballs.
Affirmative. The audio definitely deserves special mention too. Besides having an excellent soundtrack, I also enjoyed all their silly voices and how most of the sound effects are just made by people.
All the design of the creatures is wonderful too because they're so cute. Even the creepy ones are disturbingly cute. But why there are little penguins in a tree, I don't know. But you know what? I don't care. I like them.
And for every critter you discover, you unlock a little collector card. A lot of the critters are fairly well hidden too, so it's a good incentive to explore and click on everything you can. Especially since you get some bonus presents at the end, based on how many you find.
I loved it when you needed to choose which little guy was needed for a particular job, although I found myself clicking on the wrong one on purpose, just because I love to see their little animations play out.
Normally with a game like this, because it's so simple, I find that a bit frustrating not having any challenge, but there's just so much wonderful stuff to click and play with in this world. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best game if you really want something to strain your brain, but you're right, it's such a joy to play through. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I'm giving it 8.
Oh, I'm off to read the news.
Have a good time.
Oh, I will.
Darren, give me some gardening tips because my garden is cement and I've got nothing growing there.
Have you considered crop rotation?
Crop rotation, explain.
Oh, it's a process by which you alternate crops over various years in order to optimise the nutrient levels of the soil.
Hex here from the Spawn Point News Desk with all the gaming news from around the world. Have you ever left your console turned on by mistake? Well, an American study has shown that in 2010, nearly 70% of the electricity used by game consoles occurred when they were turned on but not actually being used to play games. These idle consoles racked up an electricity bill worth well over $1 billion. Students at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have turned one of their campus buildings into a fully playable game of Tetris. The game featured 3 levels, each getting progressively harder. Nintendo has posted its first ever annual loss in the 30 years since it's been making video games. Losses for the company totaled $510 million for the year. Nintendo is confident they'll completely return to profit next year thanks to a cheaper production process for the 3DS and the launch of the Wii U. Okay, what's next, guys?
Oh, I think we should have a look at Wrecked.
Oh, awesome, because I think that's one of the best party games out there. It's up there with Worms and Brawl.
High praise, Hex.
But hardly surprising if you consider the game's history. Wrecked was created by the UK developer Supersonic Games, the same studio that made several of the excellent Micro Machine games back in the 90s.
Micro Machines. I love Micro Machines, Darren. I think it's time for more Micro Machines.
Affirmative. This is the next best thing. In 2004, Supersonic honed their top-down racing formula with Mashed, a delightful title for PS2, Xbox One, and PC. Wrecked updates the formula and the graphics for today's consoles, but it's pretty much the same game as Mashed.
Yeah, right down to the tracks, Darren. The Icebridge map is the spitting image of Polar Wharf.
Oh, with good reason though, Barge. I mean, it's the best track in the game. It's basically a long, thin loop with hairpin bends at both ends. Mistime your handbrake turn and it's kablooey.
Each kablooey updates the score. Fall off the track, fall behind, or get blown up by a weapon, and you're out of the race, though you can still fire airstrikes at the remaining cars. The last car standing is awarded 2 points, and the losers are penalised. Races are chaotic and short, yet while the power-ups and treacherous tracks make things unpredictable, skilled players soon amass a commanding lead.
It's intense. I mean, there's just something simple and old-fashioned about Wrecked. I mean, it's designed to be played with all your mates crowded around a TV, just sitting on the couch. I mean, it's the quintessential party game experience.
I love gently nudging a friend off a cliff and then doing it again. And you tend to form little temporary allegiances within the group, and then you take out the leader, but it all quickly changes. I did check this out online, but you don't really get that chemistry of playing with your friends, and there's a little bit of lag too. Plus, single player is a bit boring and pointless.
Yeah, but this isn't really a single player or an online game, really. I think they just included those modes because they felt like they had to.
I don't know why they had to cordon off 2 whole tracks as day 1 downloadable content. That should have been in the game.
Well, we should wrap this up, Badge. What are you giving it?
I think it's worth 6.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Oh, I loved it. I'm giving it 8.
Well, I think it's time we answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk.
My favourite.
I might play a bit more Wrecked. Oh, it's not the same when you're alone. Oh, maybe I'll do my taxes or something.
Mushroom with a ribbon on
Cool
the top.
song. Yeah. Sounds like Darren.
Yeah, it does, but much better.
All right, well, let's get into it. We've got this one from,
Whoa, hang on a sec, Hex. I'm getting a transmission from my boom phone. One sec.
phone.
It's drinking. Whoa, it's coming through.
Is that a letter?
Yes, it is.
But how did that...
It's a very complicated device. It also works as an international telecommunication device. It also transforms into a little car, and I get around town and I put an actual letter.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's from Batman!
What?
Batman from Gotham City. Okay, I'm ready. This question is for Barger. Because I think, Hex, you are really mean to those kids who didn't spell correctly, and you made fun of him. And Juzzle, because some kid liked Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, doesn't it mean you have to insult him? And I think you should apologise. So, are there any good games for the DSi? P.S. Barger was awesome. Hex, you're not going to be cool again until you apologise. Well, Hex, obviously that's the real Batman, and he thinks you should apologize because he thinks you've been rude and you've totally upset Batman. You shouldn't upset Batman.
As if. You're always making fun of bad spelling. In fact, you did it just then when you read out that letter. Plus, you said the same things to the viewer who liked Harry Potter as I did. In fact, if I have to apologize, then you should too. And anyway, all I said was that I respected his right to enjoy Harry Potter. I just personally thought it was a rubbish game. I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinions, aren't we? Aren't we?
That was a terrible apology. That was terrible. I'm sorry about that, Bats. We might have to book her into apology camp or something.
Apology
camp?
camp?
Right now, I'm gonna book you in.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry.
There, now don't you feel better?
Well, not really. I still think you should apologize as well.
I'm still gonna book you into the camp. No, well, me and Bats are cool and we're tight and I don't need to apologize to him. But yes, there are tons of good games for the DSi. There's the Pokemon games, Super Mario 64, Mario Kart DS, New Super Mario Bros., Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, Bowser's Inside Story, Professor Layton's, Dragon Quests, Advance Wars, oh they're so good, Ace Attorneys, Chrono Trigger, just to name a few.
Well, those should keep you busy for a while at least. Moving on to this one from Cool Cat in Australia, which is in New South Wales.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Hello SB, can you please tell me about Super Mario 64 DS? Is it the same as Nintendo 64? Please tell me, thanks.
Well, Cool Cat, it's very similar to the original 64 version. Most of the levels are more or less the same, but there are quite a few big differences.
Yeah, in the DS version, you actually get to play as 4 different characters, including Yoshi, Luigi, Wario, as well as Mario, whereas the 64 version, all there was Mario.
I love Wario. Wario!
I'm gonna win.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Just gonna look that up and check that. Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry for doubting you. It's just a terrible impression.
You should apologise to me for that.
And they added in a bunch
apologise.
more stars to find a few mini games and a multiplayer mode. Don't apologise for bad
The
impressions.
apology. I just want to, hear if you're good at apologising, or do you need to go to an
do you
apology
want to hear how I apologise?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let's move on to this one from Anton, who lives in the Gold Coast, Queensland. I think you need to go to an apology camp because that was appalling.
Hi, Good Game SP. 1. I've been waiting to get Bakugan Battle Brawlers. Is Bakugan Battle Brawlers on Xbox 360? 2. For Darren. In Portal 2 co-op in level 6 of Course 5, how do you pass this level? Please, please, please answer. Well, Anton, there's actually 2 Bakugan Battle Brawlers on Xbox 360. There's Bakugan Battle Brawlers and Bakugan Battle Brawlers Defenders of the Core, both of which are available right now.
And, we could actually answer that Portal 2 question for you. I don't think we need Darren, do we,
No, we rarely do need Darren.
We're awesome at Portal 2.
Right. Now, Anton, this level looks harder than it really is, but it does require some good teamwork.
First things first, you'll need to stay on this first platform while your partner needs to portal over there.
Now place a portal on the ground here next to the button, and another portal over on this angled wall. Hit the button and the orange goo will coat the runway where your partner is waiting.
Now shoot a portal onto the far floor beneath the arrow. Then you put your other portal on the far platform beneath the angled wall. Hit this button to drop a laser redirection cube, then replace your second portal so that the cube drops onto one of the platforms.
Now place another portal onto the angled wall and put your second portal on the platform closest to you. Then your partner must run across the orange goo and enter your portals. Once he flies up out of your second portal, quickly replace your first onto the far platform.
Now your partner must grab the laser redirection cube and use it to destroy these turrets.
Once they've been destroyed, you then need to place a portal onto this high wall to launch your partner to the exit. Now portal yourself over to the goo runway and get your partner to place his portals on the angled wall as well as the high wall. Then you'll be launched off the runway to the exit and the level will be complete.
Are you as excited as I am?
Moving on now to this one from Don't Know in, Victoria.
My friend told me that you reviewed a game last year that you can be a god and make natural disasters, but I don't know what it's called. Can you tell me? Thanks.
Well, I think your friend was talking about the game From Dust, but you don't really get to make natural disasters. It's kind of the opposite, in fact, since the whole point is to protect your little tribe of people from natural disasters.
But you could simply be a bit of a rubbish god and let the natural disasters wipe them out if you wanted to. And in the very last level, you get to create volcanoes and tsunamis and stuff, so there's a bit of that, but it's not really the focus of the game.
Yeah, and it's only available as a downloadable game, but you can get it on 360, PS3, and Windows PCs. But moving on now to this one from The Doctor, in the Darren Cave. Listen, GGSP, you never answer my question. If you don't answer this week, I'll never watch your show again. Now, my questions are, is Sega making another Sonic game? When is it coming out? And what's your fave gaming character of all time? Well, Doc, there's 2 Sonic games coming out that we know of. First off, there's Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, which is actually due out this week for 360 and PS3, and a bit later on just about everything else. Well, except the Wii, for some reason, it's not getting it, even though they got Episode 1.
And then there's Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, coming out towards the end of the year on just about everything. Although it looks like the Wii is missing out on that one too. What's your favourite gaming character, Hex?
Oh, it changes. I mean, I love Yoshi in the Mario games, but I'm also a huge fan of Ratchet from Ratchet & Clank.
Do you like Wario?
Not as much as Yoshi.
I think my favourite gaming character is Batman. Do you know I got a letter from him once? I got a letter from Batman.
I thought your favourite gaming character was Sonic.
Sonic is too, but Batman wrote me a letter, so now it's Batman.
What have you done this letter?
See this letter from Batman? Just gonna put it right there. Right, let's move on to this one from... Excuse me, Hex. A Lonely Grape from ABC Fruity Bowl, which is in South Australia. Dear GG, I've been playing a lot of Terraria and I was wondering if there were any major updates coming out. Also, could you tell me a bit about Torchlight 2? Grape out! Well, Lonely Grape, sorry to say that no, there are no more major updates coming out for Terraria as far as we know it, as the developers have stopped working on it.
But on the plus side, one of the developers are hard at work on a new game which is called Starbound, and that looks great. It's kind of like Terraria, except it's set in space.
Oh, I love SpaceX. Oh, there'll be jetpacks and all sorts of things, I'm sure.
I hope so. Well, as for Torchlight 2, it's actually looking much like the original, but it's going to have multiplayer, cinematic sequences, multiple hub towns, and a longer campaign.
And that's set to come out later this year for Windows and Mac.
All right, well, time for one more, I think. And this time we go with this one from, it's from Nora in Fallon, which is outside Australia, I think.
Hex, have I ever told you that I got this awesome letter from Batman?
Forget this letter, we're moving on to this one from Nora.
I'm sorry, Batman. She doesn't understand.
Hi Hex, Barjo and Darren. I love your show so much. I live in Sweden, so I have to watch it on your website. I wonder, where do yo get the funny, cute stuff on your table? HD! It's bye in Swedish, from your fan on the other side of the world. P.S. None of you is a noob. You are all the best. Wow, we have fans in Sweden, Badge.
That's amazing. I wonder how Nora found out about the show.
Yeah. Hey, you know the Swedes are really excellent gamers. They win heaps of those competitive gaming events like World Cyber Games. Might be something to do with the fact that it's so cold there that they spend lots of time inside.
Maybe we should move to Sweden.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your question, Nora, we get all this stuff from all over the place. Some of it belongs to the team who work on the show, some of it has been given to us by our viewers or by the game developers, and some of it we buy from shops when we see something pretty good.
Yeah, basically if we find anything game related that we like, we'll bring it into the studio to play with. But on that note, we're out of time for this week, and if you've got a question you'd like us to answer, even if you're not from Australia, why not jump on here and send it in?
Just calling Batman.
You don't have Batman's number.
G'day, Batman. How's it going? Yeah, it's Barjo.
You have the number for the
He's going to
Batcave.
recognise my voice because he knows who I am. Yeah, you saw. I know, I'm sorry about that. She didn't believe it's you. Here, have a chat to her.
It's not Batman.
It is.
Hello?
Hello, I'm really Batman.
Is this actually Batman?
Yes, stop being a noob. Batman out.
Batman just called me a noob.
Oh, no. That's a shame.
I wonder how many other viewers we have in countries like Sweden.
I hear that's where chocolate comes from.
It's where Minecraft comes from.
Oh, really?
Affirmative, and so many other games too, like Ilo Milo and Bob Came in Pieces and so many
Okay,
other
Darren, well, I think we should get on with this review right now. If you think a mashup between a rhythm game and an adventure game sounds kind of strange, well, I'd have to agree with you. Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure does just that.
players Raphael, who is also secretly a painting thief called Phantom R. Raphael has been abandoned by his father. The only clue to his whereabouts, a coin with a strange symbol. And so begins your adventure, looking for your father through the streets of Paris.
This game borrows a lot from the Professor Layton games. You move from place to place, talking to strangers, picking up clues and solving mysteries. There's also the crazy tapping on the screen to discover hidden medals and other collectibles, and even a recap when you reboot the game, which I think all games should have.
The story so far.
It's a little bit too much like Professor Layton for my liking, and also a lot of the characters are quite flat, especially Raphael. And you're kept in the dark as to why he's stealing famous paintings, so I didn't even like him that much to begin with.
But the story does pick up as the new mysteries are introduced. Soon you meet Marie, who's also looking for her mother. On her violin is the same symbol as on your father's coin.
It's a mystery. Like Professor Layton, there's a lot of tapping through text, and without spoiling too much, it's a good story. But that's only one part of it. There's also the rhythm games. From cooking and dancing to sneaking and fleeing, you do it all to the beat.
Barger, this is where the game falls apart for me. I mean, here is this beautiful game set in a real place, and then you have this rhythm game where you have to fight off dozens of guards. It just ruins the believability of the story.
I think it adds some nice variety. Plus, who doesn't like dancing to the samba?
Yet it felt so out of place. I mean, at least in Professor Layton games, the puzzles that were critical to the story felt like they belonged there.
But Hex, didn't you feel like you wanted to keep on playing?
Well, yes, but that's because the story is quite good.
And weren't you having fun?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Then why does it matter?
Because it does.
I think the game did its job, it entertained you, mission accomplished.
Yeah, but...
Moving right along, there are also some puzzles scattered throughout, usually to break up certain areas, but these were so simple that even a noob could solve them.
Yeah, I agree. One of them was just to memorize a sequence of flashing lights to break into the Louvre. I'm pretty sure that their security is a little bit tighter than that. But one thing I did like is that you never got lost in this game. The path to your objective is always lit up in red on the top screen, so you never have trouble finding anything.
Yeah, maybe it helps you a little bit too much, though. You do feel like your hand is being held throughout the game. It is beautiful, though, isn't it? The hand-drawn backdrops blend well with the anime-style characters, and I love the subtle movements in each location, like lights glowing or fountains flowing. And just in case you forget where the game is set, there are French flags everywhere. What did you think of the 3D, Hex?
I actually left it off for most of the game. The rhythm games that use gyroscope controls automatically turn the 3D off, and outside of them, most of the action takes place on the bottom screen anyway.
You can play any rhythm game in multiplayer as well, but there's no interaction between you and your opponent. No bonus for doing well, and no chances for sabotage. It's purely a score attack mode.
I did enjoy the music, though. There are some pretty sweet bass lines and jazz piano. I found myself tapping my foot to the beat on more than one occasion.
Come on.
I just wish the accents were a little bit more standardized. It doesn't really make sense for Raphael to speak like an American. But anyway, what are you giving it, Barjo?
I'm gonna give it 7.5, Hex.
It's 6.5 from me.
Oui, oui. Would you like a croissant, Barger?
Je t'aime.
What about me?
None. I only had one.
Can we share?
Negative.
Great show, guys. So many games.
Yes, but we shall return next week where we will look at a game called The Awesome Noughts.
Well, let's hope they live up to their awesome name.
And don't forget Spawn Links on the Spawn Point website. You can vote in our latest weekly poll and also catch up on any reviews or episodes of Spawn Point that you might have missed. Until next week, gamers, Barjo out.
Hex out.
Oh, I've got one more botanical fact. I saved it for the end of the show.
All right, Darren.
Which plant is the closest relation to the pineapple?
Pineapple.
I don't know.
Spanish moss. You wouldn't think it, but it's true.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh, speaking of Spain, did you know I used to be a flamenco dancer?
Really? How did you put the little castanets in your pasta scoops?
Oh, affirmative. I have add-ons of all analog instruments for my pasta scoops.
Really? You have castanet attachments?
El Caballo Darren.
Ole!